All right, today we're hitting legs again because why not? We're all sick individuals here. And specifically, I'm gonna give you some things to think about as you're training legs to really connect with them even more, get more growth out of them. So don't you worry, little buddy. I'm gonna get you out of those skinny jeans. I came from the mud. So there's a lot of people that say that squats are the end all be all for development, the little baby Jesus of leg exercises. But for me, I don't prescribe to that religion. I think there's a lot better exercises you can do to really get more development out of your legs. And not just me personally, but most people watching this, because most people are gonna have lower back issues, impingements, or just your form is just shit and you don't really get the most out of squats, because you'll see people at the gym doing squats, they'll do 3 or 4 sets, they walk away acting like they killed it, but you see them and they look like they're about to shit out their spine. I don't think you hit your legs there, bud. For me, a better compound movement is one you can overload just as much, but one you can also dictate what part of the leg has to move the majority of that weight. So it's less about all the other muscles working in conjunction to get the job done, and more about narrowing in that focus for a specific group of muscles and making them work even harder. So today, we're gonna kick our own ass with walking lunges. Step number 1, take off your new shoes. You're gonna screw them up if you don't. So the reason I want to go over these is because obviously I said it's a phenomenal exercise, but also I see a lot of people do these at the gym. They don't really put much thought into them. They kind of just go through the motions, but if you're a little bit more methodical with how you do these, you're going to get even better results. And for me, the best way to do these are weighted, and specifically using a barbell. Now, because it just attacks your breathing. I mean, it's just that much harder on your body, and you don't get much swing, because with dumbbells, if that's all you have and that's all you can do, fine, use those, but I would suggest you throw them up and do lunges that way, because when you're hanging them down, you can get a little movement to it, and you can actually lift yourself up. And if fake weights are your thing, use those. So if we're gonna make this a quad-dominated movement, there's a couple things we gotta do to make that happen. First thing is we gotta shift that knee over the toe. It's gonna put more of a stretch on that quad. Next thing is we gotta lean that back slightly forward. Again, that's gonna put more tension on the quad, but also it's gonna inhibit your hamstring's ability to pull you off the bottom. It's gonna take that out of the equation. And finally, the most important thing is as you're driving through this, you're not gonna come all the way up. It's 3/4 of the way up because you want constant tension. It's better err on the side of being too low than too high, because if you come all the way up, you can rest a little bit. We don't want that. And then from there, it's just going into some deep, dark place in your subconscious mind. I would suggest some sort of childhood trauma and use that to get you through this pain. There's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Let me take a quick second to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video, because after the last couple ad reads, I thought for sure they're gonna be like, nope, we're not doing that again. So it's nice to know that some big companies still let their decision-making executives drink on the job. The biggest hurdle I gotta get over is you're gonna say, I heard it last time. I know, Skillshare, online learning community, thousands of inspiring classes. For curious and creative people, you can learn a new skill, deepen a passion. But here's the thing. I know you took the merch class from Draplin, but still yet, no merch. And here's the thing, I did. But that phrase, with great power comes great responsibility, kept ringing in my head. And at this point in my life, I don't want to take any responsibility for my actions. I just don't think the world's ready for me to have my horrible, seedy personality memorialized on a shirt. And that's the cool thing about Skillshare. All their classes are designed for real life and all the circumstances that come with it. And it's inspiring stuff. For instance, my favorite book of all time, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Incredible book. It's the reason I developed the channel the way I did, why I asked you what you want to see next, and you say I just make it because of that book. He's got a course on there. It's all about influence and connecting with people. So if you ever want to make a YouTube channel, I would watch that, because it doesn't have to be about fitness. There's a guy who makes a ton of money just traveling around to different miniature golf courses. No joke. It's curated for learning. There's no ads, and they're constantly adding new premium classes, so you can follow wherever your creativity takes you. Honestly, I got lost in some lady's minimalist interior design class. No business being in there. Pretty good. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. This is the call to action part. The first 1,000 of my subscribers, click the link in the description, will get a 2-month free trial of their premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Yeah. Now, if you're targeting hamstrings and glutes, you actually want to lunge as if you're as tall as that bullshit height you've told everyone in your Tinder matches, because you really want to exaggerate your step. That way your hamstring has to pull you up through the movement. Now, with your back, you actually want to keep it nice and straight, but as you start to drive up, you're going to want to lean back to pull that hamstring into it and then finish off in the glute. And then just as important, you're actually going to flip your toe over and drag it all the way up, because that'll help you stay stable throughout the movement, but also help you finish that contraction off by flexing the hamstring, but also really contracting that glute, leaning back, flexing as hard as you can at the top, and then going into that next step. Now, if inner thigh thickness is one of your problems, I'd actually step out on a 45-degree angle and then pull up from there. It's gonna pull more of those adductors into it and then eventually kill that thigh gap. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Another cool thing about what we just talked about with walking lunges, a lot of those principles, being able to shift the focus and choose what muscle dominates the movement, also applies to step-ups, which For some reason, I don't see a lot of guys doing step-ups. I don't know why, it's a great exercise. Might have something to do with those skinny jeans. Which brings me to another point. Have you seen guys wear tights to the gym when they're training legs? Nobody wants to see that. Man or woman. No woman just looks at that and goes, look at the tights on that guy. Doesn't happen. Sorry. Who sells those? Who would sell you? Who would design those and sell those? So to target quads and glutes, you're gonna end up with the tallest step you have at the gym, because before you even start the movement, you want your quad in a stretch position. That way you can lean forward, really stretch that glute even more, and then drive up from there. And then before you do every single rep, you re-engage it the same way, leaning forward, put that stress, and then drive up.
When it rains, it pours. Water's up to my chin. Won't stop fighting to the very.
So hopefully your gym has a smaller step up as well, because that's what you need to do the hamstring glute version, which I'm gonna go over next. I just didn't want you to get too focused on the goofy pad that I'm doing step ups on, because that's all we have. And honestly, I don't even think it's a piece of equipment. This is one of those things that moms buy for their little kids when they're roughhousing. That way little Timmy doesn't powerbomb the next door neighbor as hard as he possibly can and break his neck. So to make it more hamstring centric, you're gonna step back nice and far in every rep, making sure that ham has to pull you off the bottom. And then from there, it's just rotating over top of that hip and then finishing it off in the glute. Well, that one kicked me right in the... So I'll start filming some of those Q&As later this week. I just thought that a lot of those questions deserve more than 1 or 2 sentences. They need a little more context, could be a whole video. But there was one that stood out. There was nothing else but ... I don't like this guy's personality. I don't blame you. I wouldn't like me either. So as always, like, subscribe, with the notification bell. Make sure you leave a comment. I read them all. I can't get back to everybody. It is just nuts how many people comment on these things. Get after it, get growing. I'll talk to you soon.